The Australian Grand Prix is the home of round number 4 in WOR, World Online Racing, and today we're here with this league race looking to try and get our season off to the right track. So far it's not really been the start I hoped for, with a mixed bag of results in the first 3 races, but hopefully this weekend we can take a step in the right direction. Now, in the meantime, while you see me go through the setup, I'm going to quickly give you an update. So I didn't stream this race, and you might be wondering why not. I had issues with the latest OBS update and also my Stream Deck. They weren't linking or working together, so streaming was impossible for me for this race, hence why there's no webcam. But I still recorded the race so that way you guys can see what happened and we keep track of, the races and what's going on in the meantime. So yeah, hopefully I get a fix in place for round 5, which is at Silverstone this weekend. And also I want to mention, I believe F2 and F3 have now officially merged, so we should have a full grid for the next race. A link down below. I'll be streaming the race this Sunday on my Twitch, and because esports is around the corner, F1 is now done and dusted. So essentially this is going to become the top split of WR for the rest of the season. So exciting times ahead as we get underway then for qualifying, and we're going to see what happens. So let's talk about a few updates. If you haven't seen the last episode of Miami, go check it out. Like I said before, link in the top right. We're going to get into this qualifying and hopefully it all goes well. Now, our previous personal best in time trial here, I believe, is a 1:18.7. We get an invalidation on the end of the first out lap, which straight away invalidated my next push lap, so I went straight into conserve mode and basically coasted around for a second out lap basically. Eventually we got around to finishing our first timed lap, making our way through the final couple of corners. Now, of course, the reprofiled and modified Melbourne layout as we make our way up to the line. Our first lap is going to be a 17.2, so correction, my personal best in time trial is a 16.7 if I'm not mistaken, so not 18.7, 16.7. We then went back out for our second run. Now, because of that second out lap we had to do due to the invalidation, I believe it's going to be close.
They're in 4th. Right, their best lap time is a 1:17.0.
I said it was going to be close in terms of making it around for another run, and this has not helped. We've stacked it. So, in an ideal scenario, I would have gone for 4 runs in this session, 4 laps, qualifying laps, but we've made a mistake, so I went back to the pits, got the front wings fixed, went back out, and now we're going to try and commit to a full push lap. So, turn 1 at the 50, turn in and brake at about 60 meters. We absolutely nail that first corner as we now make our way down to turn 3. Braking at the 100 meter ball more or less, down to 3rd gear, clip at the inside curb, short shifting through turn 4 as we get a bit of oversteer and lose a little bit of momentum through this little section of the lap. Sector 1 though in the books as we now throw the car into turn 6, the super fast turn 6 now. Could have carried a bit more speed I think on the inside curb, but still we found a bit of time. And now we take a breather along this massive back straight as we now prepare the left-right chicane, down 2 gears, flick it through over the curbs, just about within the yellow lines as we have Primoz Miklavčić out in the wall there. Hard on the brakes, 50 meter board, down to 4th gear, smooth on the traction on the way out. Now through this next long right-hander, try to keep it within track limits. Hard on the brakes, planting a corner, 3rd gear, quickly up to 4th. Try to keep some throttle on as you maintain a decent minimal speed. And now final corner, getting that run and a sweet exit as you make our way up to the line. 16.8, and that moves us into the top 6, and that is a very, very good lap in my opinion. We then tried to get back out for a final run, but we missed out by literally 2 or 3 seconds. It was that close. I reckon 2 more full seconds and I could have got the line, but it is what it is. I messed up my first run doing a second nut lap, and then of course the crash. So qualifying ends, and to be fair, it was extremely close, top to bottom, all 13 drivers within 0.4 of a second. It was that tight. And as for my lap itself, I believe the first sector could have been a bit better. We nailed turn 1, but the rest of the first sector wasn't that great. I think there was a bit more time in it. Looking at the margins though, I think P6 might have been the best I could have done. I don't know if I would have maybe got P5. Then again, I say that if I could have found a bit more, I think P3 was definitely not impossible. P1, P2 out of the question though, but as I said, my personal best was a 0.7, so it would have taken a pretty sweet lap. I know that we could have gone a bit quicker, but even still, I'm happy with this. Much more competitive, and P7 out qualifying our teammate here in Australia. So let's see how the race goes. We're going to be mid-pack for the race start, and as always, no formation that we're going to jump into it straight away with cold tyres, and we're going to see what happens. So let's get into the race. Right, here we go. Medium tyres on, everybody else on the hards. This should be a lot of fun. 5 lights, and we're underway at Melbourne, and it's an excellent start off the line as we race past 2 cars up into P5 already. Down to turn 1, we have to just try and be careful here as we're going to be racing away, and fingers crossed it all goes well. Now, I believe, you can see in the bottom right, my tyre temps are actually okay. I think the latest patch now means everyone starts on warm tyres, but we still have a massive advantage on these mediums as, you know, we just have more traction, more grip, and more cornering speed as we have a bit of a moment through turn 5. Luckily, we keep it under control, and then through turn 6, Simon Lukomski has a moment, and we're going to make a move here as we pull alongside. This is going to give us eventually the inside line into the chicane, and he's not going to fight us. He knows we're on mediums, he knows we're on the faster tyre, so we're going to go through and make the move up into P4. So excellent start, even with the mistake, gaining 3 places and making use of the medium tyre, and we're now just on the cusp of the front 3 and a podium. So a much better position than what we've had so far in the first 3 races in this game, and things looking a lot healthier than they have done up until this point. And this was actually really nerve-wracking for me. I haven't been this high up in a long time. I was feeling the pressure a little bit, but you know, we've done a good job of keeping it under control. Now on to lap number 2. We're already putting pressure here on Primoz Meklavčić, and it's important that we try to get past as many cars as possible while we have the advantage on tyre wear and also tyre performance. Making our way towards the end of lap 2 now, and you can see here we're trying to put some pressure on as we get a warning through the far chicane. So just running a bit too wide on the exit. Again, around this circuit, it always catches me out, but the reference is the yellow line, not the white line, which is kind of secondary to it. If you look at the all the curbs, you can see there's like a secondary white line, but the yellow is the one you're looking for, and it's really hard to train your brain to respect the yellow and not run out to the white line. Either way, on to lap 3.
We can now use DRS now available.
As you can hear, DRS is enabled, and that is going to help us out massively as Primoz Meklavčić has a moment. And again, these guys are struggling on the hard tyres as temperatures can be an issue and just low grip overall. So we steam through using the battery that we've got, as we've got pretty much a full charge at this stage of the race, and we're up into the top 3. So we're now running in podium positions, which is absolutely fantastic, behind Drake Dempsey and Harvey Cohen. So let's skip ahead to lap 6. At this point, tyres were starting to level out. I still had an advantage. My race pace generally seemed pretty strong. The pace was very consistent every lap, 21.5, 6 and 7s, lap after lap. And you're going to see here the kind of theme for the first stint. So essentially, we was quite evenly matched in terms of straight line speed. And I had a couple of moments where I had a little half look and got a bit close to Harvey, but I never really got close enough because he has DRS on the car ahead. Also, the modifications to this layout means the DRS train is much stronger this year and it's much harder to pass because you're on the throttle, you know, most of the lap. So yeah, at this point it was about maybe trying to save my tyres a little bit and extend my stint. The longer we go, the better for our race, and you know, that could be an advantage. So we're going to try and pace ourselves, as you can see my tyre in the bottom right, and also Elvis on the radio confirming that the tyres are fine. So we're looking pretty decent at this stage on schedule, as we're on lap 10 and pretty much a third of the way through the race. And yeah, we're going to just keep basically going through the motions, really trying to find our rhythm, save a bit of tyres, keep the ERS charged up, and wait for the crucial moments in the race when we're going to have to really start pushing. On to lap 13, this is our scheduled pit stop lap, and you can see, because we're starting to have some moments now, on the rears as tyre wear picks up a little bit. You can see we're pushing those 60% on some compound of tyres, and I'm just trying to manage and extend things a little bit. Eventually managed to push the stint out by one more lap. Lap 14 now though. At the end of it, I noticed and I could feel the pressure was building behind, and I didn't want to get caught up in a battle, so we're going to box. We managed to go one lap longer than forecast, and we're going to bolt the hard tyres on and go to the end. Excellent pit entry. Also good timing on the pull away. Jeffrey Ritchie also boxes off the hard tyre onto a medium, which is very early but doable. He might have struggled at the end, but this is an undercut attempt from both of us.
Strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Also, my teammate Leroy Brown was in the pit lane. Hopefully he didn't get held, but he had an incident early on in the race, and he dropped back a little bit. So it's up to us to pull the points home for the team today. And you're going to see the difference as now we're going to be on the opposite tyre. Everybody else is going to be on the medium. And you look at the delta here, Jeffrey behind was just gaining time everywhere. Now, I was hoping, you saw everyone else struggling on the hard at the start of the race, that at this stage, the track rubbing in, cars a lot larger on fuel, we should not have as many issues in the hard tyres these guys did. But I started to struggle for pace a little bit at this stage. The medium is definitely the race tyre at this circuit. If you're ever racing here, the medium is one you want to cherish and save because it's going to work really well. Jeffrey has now caught up to us, and I'm not going to defend because he's much quicker at this stage. This is for position, but hopefully if I can hang on to the back of him, we might be able to fight back at the end of the race on these tyres, because he's gone very early, of course, for those mediums. In the meantime, we've got cars in the pit lane, and we're going to see if this sort of inverted commas undercut attempt on cold tyres has paid dividends. So onto the main straight. We're right behind Jeffrey, tucked in. We're going to use a bit of battery and the DRS, and here we go. Cars leaving the pits. We're going to be ahead of Simon Lukomski, so we're still in front of him. There is Primoz Miklavcic, who has overcut us, or stayed ahead more like, because he did, was right behind us when I pit. So he has got the overcut on us, but we're going to try and use the warm tyres to our advantage, and we're going to filter through around the outside, then the inside through turn 4, and get the move done before turn 5. So lovely move there. That means we hold on to net P4 as Jeffrey splits myself, and Harvey Cohen, of course, was ahead of us before the pit stops. At the end of the lap, we've got more cars, the final cars in, so that is going to basically bring the order back to normal as we set a personal best 121.2 on that lap, and we're now up into P4. So we haven't lost anything in terms of pace, over that phase. If anything, we probably gained a little bit. Of course, we got passed by Jeffrey, who also has now got past Harvey Cohen and is pushing hard to try and reel in Drake Dempsey out front in the Haas, who may have just broken DRS. We get our second warning for track limits through turn 5, and we have to be careful now because we're on the limit in terms of track limit warnings. On to lap 18, and Primoz got an excellent run out of the chicane, and I didn't really have an answer. I'm also running a bit low on battery at this stage as my pace wasn't great, and I was having to use a lot of energy to compensate for my lack of pace. And yeah, also I have to be smart with this. Simon Lukomski has a penalty, so we're gonna get that place back if it does pass. Now Jack Humphries has a penalty, so does Primoz, so all these guys are going to move back.
Okay, we've been given a time penalty. It will go against our finishing time at the end of the race. Get your head down and let's get it done.
Unfortunately, as I say that, and as things were looking okay for a P4, I get a penalty of my own, and not just one penalty, I get a double. The exit of turn 4 is glitched, and it gives you double penalty. So I went from 2 warnings to 6, basically. And the one you just saw straight after was my 7th warning, as now at this point I was really struggling for pace. Jack goes past, I had no battery left, so I didn't really have an answer to the pace of these guys, and it was going to be hard to always keep up. So yeah, Jack goes through. At this point though, I will admit the tyres were starting to level out, a bit like in the first stint, but the other way round. I was able to keep up actually surprisingly okay. So yeah, we skip all the way until lap 25, and we're still just hanging in there. I was trying to recharge, but it wasn't really working. At this point, if you take away the BS penalties, I should technically be on 4 warnings, not 7. So that means a 3-second time penalty. So we're racing these guys for position at this point, pretty much. That is kind of the theme here. So yeah, I'm just trying to hang on at this point really and just see what I can do. Lap 25 though, later on we just run a bit wide again, picking up warning number 5. So we're just 1 away now from a potential 6-second, and that would be race doom penalty basically. And there it is, warning number 6, which in game is warning number 8 or 9. I don't quite know, but either way, we're on 9 seconds now penalties. So yeah, here comes Simon Lukomski. Now at this point it was frustrating because we caught up to Harvey Cohen and the leading group. We actually managed to recover the gap. You know, we all formed back up into a pack. But that one little move there from Simon Lukomski just cost me enough time that I just fell back enough from Jack Humphreys and eventually lost the DRS, all because of that little silly half overtake, which wasn't necessary because he was going to get me on penalties anyway at the end of the race. So yeah, it's amazing how fine margins make a big difference, but that one moment now means we've dropped out DRS range of the top 5, and you can see they're all running nose to tail, which is really frustrating. We get another double warning there, and we go up to 12 seconds as we run wide through turn 4. Technically 7 warnings, I believe, but at this point I think I'm like 12 on the game or something like that because of these double warnings. So yeah, my motivation kind of dropped off because of the the first double warning. Really, after that I kept on making mistakes. The hard tyre was a struggle. You can see here lap 29 now though, Simon Lukomski looking for the pass. We're going to defend the inside, but not entirely. We leave a little bit of a gap. Bit of contact as we go side by side through turns 4 and 5. But we do manage to stay in front and keep our car ahead for now. And pretty fair defensive driving, I'd say. Not being too overly aggressive or too dirty through turn 6, carrying the speed as we look to try and stay ahead using the battery remains. And it looks like we might just hold on here on this back straight. We're going to defend the inside. Simon actually just sits behind us basically. I'm going to take a defensive line, so we're going to avoid the inside curbs to get the exit, but we get tagged in the rear, and that's it. Game over. Rear wing damage. And after 28.5 laps, we get taken out in the last one. So it's a shame. Frustrating, and you'll see here the rear wing damage just straight away. Yeah, the car was undrivable, completely undrivable. So Drake Dempsey picks up the win. I'm just going to try and coast home here and try not to spin. The car is right on the knife edge as I'm struggling to go through the right-handers. Left-handers are okay, but yeah, there's only one of those in the rest of the lap. But across the line we go in any moment now, and it's going to be P11 for us with those penalties. And yeah, disappointing. No points today. Also my teammate behind in P12. So a double L for us today. No points scored. I'll take some confidence because that was a overall better performance. Qualifying top 7, less than 2 tenths off pole. Definitely even more time in the lap. And then for the race pace was good. The medium looked very good. I was really happy on that tyre. In hindsight, if I'd gone for a hard medium, I could have obviously been fine, but I wouldn't have got up to P3 maybe had I not started the medium. So I don't mind the strategy. The hard was a bit harder to manage and a bit tougher to drive on than I expected. But once I got that penalty, I think I just lost focus a bit. I lost concentration, and it didn't help getting those double penalties through turn 4, which is a problem. So yeah, either way, I can get them removed, but once I got taken out, it's irrelevant. It makes no difference. I'm not going to gain anything from this race. So we finish in P12 behind our teammate, and yeah, there's your lot for Melbourne. But guys, still a better race. I enjoyed it a lot more than the other one so far. So if you did as well, leave a like and subscribe. I'll be streaming this Sunday, round 5 at Silverstone. We should have a full grid. Like I said, both splits are merging to become essentially the new top split. So hopefully an exciting future ahead for us in this league. I'll put the work in to make sure I'm sharp for that one, as Silverstone isn't a great circuit for me, but we're going to give it our best shot. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Sunday. Until then, as always, a massive shout out to the members. Finally, check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them already. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care. And that's goodbye from me.